And Ben Tracy joins us now from the White House. Hi, Ben. So, as we said, the president will head to Florida today, a state he won in 2016. But our CBS News Battleground tracker shows he's now trailing Joe Biden there. What is going to be his strategy as he looks to solidify his base in Florida and attract those few undecided voters?
Yeah, it's no coincidence that the president is heading to Florida for his first rally since he recovered from the coronavirus. This was a rally that he actually had scheduled before he was diagnosed with the virus, and now they're going to go do it again. Florida really is a must-win state for President Trump. If Joe Biden wins Florida, President Trump's path to 270 electoral votes is very narrow. So that's why the president's been spending a lot of time there. Polls are also showing that his support among seniors has really weakened in the last couple of weeks. So the president obviously going to a place where you would have more senior citizens and perhaps going to tailor his message to them. But when the president does these rallies, it's hard to say that there's a real theme or a real focus to his remarks. He tends to kind of freelance it a bit and kind of go with the flow of the crowd, what makes sense to them. But the president does seem to be talking more and more about an economic message, trying to kind of land on that as his message for the final stretch of this campaign.
And Ben, as we mentioned earlier, the White House is not disclosing whether or not the president has tested negative yet. Are there precautions then being taken for his travel?
Yeah, so what the president's doctor is saying is that the president is no longer a transmission risk, meaning that he's no longer contagious. But the White House did tell us that once the president tests negative for the virus, that they would actually tell us that would come out in one of these memos from the president's doctor. That has not happened, so we can assume that at this point the president is still testing positive for the virus, but that his viral load is so low that they say he's not contagious. As for what they're going to do with his travel today, they have told us nothing, that they're changing any sort of protocols. So when they're on Air Force One today, we'll have to see what the reporters who are traveling with the president say today about anything they're noticing. Here at the White House, it's pretty much business as usual. You do see see more people wearing masks than we did before the president was infected with the virus. And there are fewer people here at the White House because so many people are either infected or they're working from home. But they don't seem to be really overhauling their approach to how they handle this.
So, it seems that the Trump campaign knows that one of the weaknesses is the way the administration handled the pandemic. And of course, we saw in your piece there how in a recent campaign ad, the president's campaign uses a quote from Dr. Anthony Fauci. Let's listen to it again.
President Trump tackled the virus head on, as leaders should.
I can't imagine that anybody could be doing more.
So, Ben, beyond what we heard in your package, how is Dr. Fauci responding to this? I know he said he has never endorsed a political candidate, and it's very important for him to remain sort of apolitical. But did he go beyond and say, look, that some of this messaging is actually dangerous?
Yeah, he's really not happy about this, that the campaign has used his words in this way, because when you go back and you see the original context of what he was talking about, first of all, those comments he made were all the way back in March. So a lot has happened since then in terms of the administration's response or lack thereof to the virus and Dr. Fauci's criticisms of that. But when you look at the full context of what he was saying, he was complimenting the coronavirus task force, not President Trump. He didn't actually even mention President Trump at all in those remarks. So to lift those out, to put that edit in the middle and make it look like Dr. Fauci is talking about President Trump just is very disingenuous. And, in recent weeks, Dr. Fauci and President Trump have increasingly been at odds over certain things. And Dr. Fauci seems to be a little more vocal in his criticism of some of the things that are coming out of the White House. So we'll see how this plays out. The campaign is not backing down. They basically said these are Dr. Fauci's words. He was complimenting the administration, and the administration is President Trump in their view.
All right. So they're going to keep playing the ad, presumably. And Ben, the president is pushing hard for a coronavirus stimulus package just a week after cutting off talks. So can you give us the latest on negotiations between Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi?
Yeah, this one has been a hard one to follow because it's been all over the map. The latest official proposal from the White House is a bill that would be about $1.8 trillion. However, that appears to be DOA with Republicans in the Senate. So now the White House is kind of backing off a little bit and saying, OK, why don't we do something smaller where we reprogram some of the leftover money from that PPP program, make sure small businesses that need another round of that funding can get it because that money already exists. But the president's been all over the map on this. At first, he backed out of these negotiations because the Democrats were asking for too much money. Then the president said just late last week that he wants a bill even bigger than what the Democrats want, which would put it north of $2.2 trillion. And somehow they then landed on this 1.8. But Senate Republicans are basically saying that's just too much, and they're not going to support it. So the White House is now regrouping to figure out what, if anything, is possible in the last couple of weeks before the election.
Amazing to keep track of. All right, well, Ben Tracy, thank you so much.
Thank you.